right, excellent. We have started our webinar that will be discussing the EVO RTK and Dragonfish. What we'll be doing is just doing a quick overview of hardware, some of the software that accompanies this stuff, talk a little bit about capability and some of the connections that are available for the RTK, and then we'll just overview the Dragonfish with the help of my two assistants today. We have Maxwell Lee, General Manager of Autel USA. We have Victor Dan, who is our engineer also in Bothwell, that will be showing us a little bit of the screen shots and whatnot today as well. So thank you guys for coming. I'm John McBride, the Director of Training. I've been doing drone stuff for around 20 years, but fairly new to Autel. So looking more into doing these trainings and showing some of the new features and new products that are coming online, as well as getting certifications and trainings is going to be our focus over the next 6 months to a year. So we'll really try to get these kinds of broadcasts a little bit more common. Max, did you want to talk a little bit about anything before we get started?
Oh yeah, thank you, John. Can we, for the audience out there, can you please type in the comment in the chat box if you're a dealer or a user, so we can get a better understanding of our target audience tonight or this morning.
Excellent. Yeah, as well, we'll just give it a minute or so for everybody to get connected. So use the chat box. That's exactly what Max was talking about. So in the chat box, go ahead and put in there whether you're an end user or a dealer that is now interested in the RTK, or maybe has even received an RTK, and as well with the Dragonfish. So go ahead and put it in there. Victor and Max will be kind of monitoring the chat. So as well in the chat window, you'll want to go ahead and post your questions there, and we'll try to get to those as soon as we possibly can throughout the presentation. So Max will be monitoring, again, the chat window to kind of keep an eye on that. Victor, did you have anything that you wanted to say before we get started? Not to put you right on the spot, but again, we have a lot of support from Victor as far as helping us out on the engineering side. So he's definitely the guy that knows a lot of stuff when it comes down to this. So again, if you're just joining us or getting online here, we have our chat window on the side. We'll get moving here in just another minute. We have the chat window on the side. Go ahead and put in there whether you're a dealer or an end user. We'll try to focus a little bit more of our presentation as such, but just explaining a little bit about the RTK and capabilities, and as well as the Dragonfish today. So a hardware overview, software overview, some of the recommendations we've seen so far as me using both pieces of equipment, and we'll continue trainings like this going forward. Again, if you have just joined us, go ahead and use the chat window to put any questions that you guys might have, and Max and Victor will do their best to try and actually answer those within the presentation. Okay, so let's go ahead and get moving along here. So lots of stuff to cover, about half an hour each. I've got some videos to share from the Dragonfish that would love to get you guys' input or feedback. Yes. And good morning from Malaysia. Excellent. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, it'll be fantastic with all the people. And a lot of the earlier stuff I've done with my previous job, definitely we did a lot of presence and presentations on the web, but we're expecting to do a little bit more of this moving forward. So, all right, excellent. So what we'll do is talk a little bit about some of the hardware that comes with your RTK when you purchase. I'm just going to reach over here and grab the original OEM case that we get. And although in this camera view, you might be able to see pretty good, but you can go ahead and put in the camera view to kind of show a little bit more of what on my screen, what I'm seeing or what you're seeing. But in here, we have the RTK that sits in this cavity. It's going to come with the warranty card, your aircraft, stock remote, extra propellers, battery charger. There will be a battery within the the ship itself, and then an extra battery. And this case can hold 3 batteries and then a 4th battery in the drone. This is the stock OEM case that you receive. It's got a cutout here that also has the antenna where the antenna will fit. So this is a nice case that will come from Autel in order to hold your RTK. However, I went ahead and have been using this GPC case that's here in the back. It accommodates 2 ships, and with the RTK antenna and the space that it actually takes up, seems to be okay. Okay. Good question there, Victor. Actually, if you wanted to do that, that would be fine. Same with Max. Still trying to, again, one more time, apologies on this newer web casting program called Demio. We're still kind of figuring out how to get that to work. It's even better when you put me on the big screen, I suppose. Thank you, gentlemen. So again, any questions during this presentation, please go ahead and put that in the chat window if you have any questions, and Max and Victor will do a great job trying to keep on top of that. So just some of the basics. I know that there's a lot of specifications on the internet of actually numbers that are available for sensor size and everything else. But let's just summarize it real quick. So we've got a 1-inch sensor that's going to come on the 6K. It's a 20 megapixel camera. We go ahead and use Autel Explorer to plan our missions and set up our missions. From here, it's, even though you could load or use third party, it's a little more complicated when you use this RTK antenna, because you will have to be connected to a VRS, so a virtual reference station, and or NTRIP. So NTRIP is another way to then connect to a system so that RTK is real time gathering that data. So some of the other third-party applications don't allow this connection to happen. You may have to, log in into Autel Explorer. So it's highly recommended that we use Autel Explorer app to do our missions for that connection. Otherwise, it kind of makes the RTK fairly useless. So any end users do need to have a VRS or a NTRIP connection. Some of the China customers have a little bit different, and Victor will be showing us a little bit, or maybe explain a little bit about the Chinese customers being able to connect into networks there. So of some of the missions that you can set up, you've got waypoint, you've got rectangle, you've got polygons that you can set up, and then obliques. And this usually does qualify for most of the mapping capability that we're able to do with this setup. Additionally, you've got this available in a 640T. So the T is the Chinese-made thermal camera. So that one will be able to come in this version as well. So a 640T with an RTK, or you can go ahead and change the payloads out. So swappable payloads. And to also confirm a question I had earlier is that the RTK connection here up on the top here, you can remove these and then use other accessories that are available for the enterprise versions. So that would include the speaker, the LED, and the spotlight. So these are available for this if you go ahead and buy this unit. So it's a really bright light up there. I apologize for the camera. And again, we'll have a much better way to do this in the future. Some of the other accessories that you can buy that I use. So hub charger. So the hub charger, if you're not familiar with that. Oh, that's actually a great question, Roman. Let me go ahead and show that that connection on the top. So 2 thumb screws to get those apart. And it's much better than a USB connection. I hope everybody can see this okay. Right there, blocking that light. And then on the ship itself, a cover is provided, so you don't have to use the RTK module if you're not connected. But then a cover is provided to cover that up when the RTK The RTK antenna is not in use. So great question on that. It's an IMAX connector. Very good connector. Way better than USB. We already know those tend to get worn out very easily. So great engineering design on that connection. And we'll come back to that in a second. So the hub charger. So the hub charger will be used with the stock charger. Connects here on the bottom. From here, you have two different ways that you can charge. You've got 4 batteries at a time it will charge. So in parallel, it will charge all 4 batteries, bringing them all up. Or it'll do the battery that has the most voltage. It chooses that one first, and it'll charge the first one, then the second, the third, the fourth. That way, once one is finished, you can go ahead and pull it off instead of waiting for all 4 to actually charge. So that will help tremendously as far as multiple batteries out in the field. So just let you know. A really great accessory. And then, although this does come with its own remote, you can use your iPad or an Android device to connect. We go ahead and use the smart remote. So I've been using the smart controller over the last few weeks here, and very impressed with the way that this works. You can go ahead and connect this up to the RTK as well. You can sign in and do all of the other things with this unit. I know there wasn't a lot of these made, and just to clarify, V1 remotes will work with V1 RTKs. Moving forward, they won't be compatible with each other. But one of the things we have to remember is, again, that not many other things are going to change. So the sensor, the smart remote application, everything is going to be, or the smart controller applications are all going to be very compatible and work with each other. So don't fear about being left behind or things that are going to be changing drastically between the V1 and the V2. So you should be able to confidently go out and still do great map gathering with the V1 version if that's what you have. So no worries at all. With that being said, just to kind of walk us through a little bit of the connection as well as the interface that's on here, I'm going to go ahead and have Dan, or Victor Dan, go ahead and show us a little bit about walking through that. So Victor, if you wanted to take over the screen, jump back on here on the stage.
Sure.
I'll go ahead and myself.
Okay, I'm show you the screen of the Autel Explorer app. So I assume that everybody should quite familiar with this app. So before you start the flight mission, you need to make sure your RTK connection is connected. So just type the camera. Because I'm indoor right now, so you will not see the GPS satellites. So we click the top right corner, the G icon there, to go to the settings, and you will find the RTK section on the left. You'll only see this RTK section when you are using the RTK aircraft. So if you toggle on, you will use the RTK feature. If you toggle off, so you can still use your aircraft as a regular EVO2. Here we have 3 different options. One is none, that means we don't want to use RTK, or you just want to disconnect RTK temporarily. The second one is for users in China. They need to log in their account and password. I think the network RTK is provided by Qianxun. And the third option is for all other countries. The RTK network, the network RTK support the NTRIP, use the NTRIP protocol. So by clicking this, you can key in all the account and the user password, all this kind of information provided by your subscription provider. And you can also choose the correct mount point you need to use. All these we collect this mount point through the the RTK IP host. Once you connect, you will see the connection successful. Because I'm indoor right now, so I can't show you the positioning status here. It shows there has 3 different options: single, float, and fix. So once you see the fix, that means your RTK is ready to go, and you will see your GPS coordinate latitude, longitude, and altitude, and how many satellites and what kind of satellites you connected, and what's the standard deviation you have. And the last one is the RTK diagnosis. You will see what's the problem right now. For me, because I'm indoors, so I can't get any satellites. But I already connect the aircraft in my remote controller, and also my remote controller has the internet, so I already connect to the RTK network. I believe that's the pretty much all for the RTK settings. John?
Just a couple of questions here.
I think you mute, John.
Oh, okay. How's that? Is that better? Working now? Okay. Just a couple of questions. And yes, we will be recording this cigar, so no problem. Victor, just a couple of questions on this connection. So one more time, we have to have that virtual network to connect to, or an in-trip connection. And is there going to be base station connections later on? You know, so can we use other base stations? If you can maybe address that question. Okay. All right, moving on. Everybody can hear me? Good to go? So just one more question. I give Victor, you're back on stage. Did you want to answer the question about the base station? Oh, still can't hear me? How's that? Better? Working? Good? Bad? No? Okay, still can't hear anything? Dang it. This is what happens when I leave the stage. Okay, better. We can hear. So, Victor, can you hear me? Okay, we're just double checking. Okay, everybody can hear. Max, can you hear me? Okay.
John, if you can repeat your question again.
All right, so there will be some questions. I know that currently the path right now is to be able to do a connection to a Chinese server, and then you just demonstrated connecting to a VRS or N-trip connection. Will there be likely some way to connect to a ground station? An RTK is basically what I'm looking for, Victor.
What's the question again?
John, sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Oh, can we connect to a base station? How does the base station going to look?
I'm sorry, but we don't support the third-party base station right now, but we are working on it.
Okay.
We will try to support all major brands like Leica, Tremble, or this, or other, the major players, but just gradually support. But we definitely will do that.
Okay. So some of my experience with the RTK over time has definitely been connecting to an N-trip server, and that flight path does tend to be a little bit slower than how you would normally collect without connecting to RTK. So I'm just letting everybody know, as end users, everybody needs to understand that data collection can be a little bit slower because we have communication happening between the drone, the remote, the device, and then out into the internet to basically get that RTK capability. So the speed of the drone does matter on how we're collecting that data. So it does seem a little bit slower in data collection. However, you can still set it up to be able to do a great collection when RTK is connected. Anything else you wanted to add, Victor, on setup or connections?
In the table, the left side is the aircraft. That means the N-trip network, RTK network. On the right side is reserved for the base station at RTK network in the future. So
excellent.
Yeah.
So definitely in the path is being able to develop and work with third-party base stations since we're not getting one right now. Okay, excellent. Okay. Some other things about that as far as the RTK is concerned before we move on to the Dragonfish. Again, please put your questions in the chat. Answer that. We'll try to get those questions answered as soon as possible. So we'll do another presentation here in a couple more weeks after doing some data gathering. We'll have a way that we will show you exactly how that data gathering went. And just remember that when we're doing mapping, we have so many applications that are actually used for doing the data collection. So Autel Explorer, I highly recommend that we use this instead of anything else like Drone Deploy or Pix4D Mapper or ARC or Maps Made Easy. There's a lot of applications out there to collect the data. Then there's just as many software programs to move that data to process it. So I'm gonna just one more question for Victor. We do have the RTK portion, but we also have the PPK. And after doing a data collection, there's a lot of other information provided. Can you maybe talk a little bit about what other files are there besides just the geotagging on the images for any PPK processing? Hopefully it didn't go. Yes, just the different.
Okay.
Like what are the files that are saved there?
Yes, in the same folder as all the the folders. Sorry, the photos. If you finish the mission, you will find everything you need for the PPK in the same folder. It should be start with a number like 101 task. That means the flight mission you just run.
And from here, a lot of the other softwares that we're importing this information into do ingest that information, that extra information that is provided by the RTK.
Yes.
Correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So excellent. Let's see. I think that's unless you guys had anything else, Max or Victor, on anything else you guys wanted to talk about on the RTK. Any other information you want to let everybody know?
Nothing else, but I'm not sure if anyone has any questions.
Mm-hmm. I don't have as many questions coming through this presentation, and that's okay. That must mean we're doing a pretty good job telling everybody what's up. So, yeah, excellent. Some of the other things, I'll just cover a couple more other things that are kind of specialized to the RTKs is also replicating the photos. So replicating positions and photos. So you can set up flight plans to do the same repetitive job all the time. So one of those features I need to go out and do some testing on. So I think we covered the base station, RTK network services, obstacle avoidance will also be active if you have RTK. That will still be something that will work during that time. And we talked about the smart remote and compatibility of it. So if you have one or are going to get one, you're definitely compatible with that. And contents of the box. I think we covered everything there. If nobody has any questions about the RTK so far, or if you do, you can continue putting them in the chat. But we wanted to talk a little bit more about the actual Dragonfish and its capability. So the Dragonfish is sitting right here next to me in the case. I've definitely had some time. I'll have Victor go ahead and get connected up to the Dragonfish to kind of show a little bit of overview on map plan a little bit later. But let's just talk about, again, some of the hardware in the box when we get one. The design is a very awesome one. I mean, it's it's definitely more expensive than most of the VTOL systems that are out there. And that expense comes into a lot of the engineering that's been done so far. And it definitely shows that this engineering that has been done is, I mean, this machine is absolutely amazing on how it flies, how it has handled the wind. So recently I was down in Miami doing some flying, 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. Not that I suggest to fly in that all the time, but it actually took the challenge and flew very well within those conditions. On top of that, we have a sustainable amount of flight time that normally is made for loitering type purposes. So flying around a position, cameras fixed on a subject, we are actually trying to watch what's going on the ground. Now, there is going to be likely mapping solutions or payloads that might come down the pipeline, but you know, its real key feature is overwatch for what's going on at a fire or maybe an active shooter situation, wildland fires back and forth to check and make sure. You can go ahead and click on somewhere on the map, and I'll show you that a little bit later in a video on clicking on a spot, redirecting the machine to look or focus on that. We have dynamic tracking that is also very AI oriented. So once you turn dynamic tracking on, depending what's on in the scene, you can see a number of vehicles or boats or people that are auto-generated on the AI that you can click on for it to track. So that's another neat feature. Comes in two different payloads currently right now. So we have the dual sensor, basically the zoom sensor that has a zoom camera and a wide angle camera. And then I have in the box, after I get it out here, the triple sensor. It's got a thermal camera, wide camera, and the zoom camera all together. So let's just talk about a little bit of the contents in the box and kind of what you would end up getting. So I'm just going to adjust the camera just a little bit. Okay. Just adjust this here. All right, so Victor, you tell me the HDMI. Okay, that's fine, no problem. We can talk a little bit about that in a further presentation, so no problem there. Anyway, basically inside of the box we have we'll just start with the charger and the RTK ground station. So the charger and the batteries. Let's take a look at these. So the batteries themselves are very, very large. Sorry about the overexposure here in this camera. I'm going to turn it. Let's see if I can turn that down a little bit. Now that didn't help much, but anyway, these batteries, they're going to be coming in pairs, and their slots that they fit into are 2 at a time. So you're going to fly 2 batteries at once. These are 12,000 milliamps at 23 volts, so a grand total of 277 watts. A little bit bigger than being able to travel, so it's hard to travel with this one on the airplane. Do that at your own risk if you take it on an airplane, but a little bit larger than the usually 100 watt hours that are exceeding that. So just keep that in mind. However, being able to fly both of these, run both of these, we want to charge both of them, use both of them at the same time on any dual battery system or multiple battery systems. We're always keeping them in pairs and charging them in pairs, using them in pairs. So the charger itself, connections here, and then on the back of these they have fans to keep the battery and charging units cool. So when we're charging, we definitely don't want to put this hot item, you know, on the carpet or leave it unattended. So highly recommended never to leave this unattended with such large batteries, and as well as, you know, making sure that the fan ports are not sitting on something to not allow it to charge. So I actually turn these on their side when I'm charging, and that's the recommendation. And then we have a charge port here for the smart controller. that comes along with this. So a little bit bigger than the other smart controller, but another pad embedded controller that uses the Voyager app. Okay, so anyway, you're able to charge 2 sets of batteries. Charging time around 2 hours. They are big batteries. There isn't a huge amount, basically, of amperage that's coming from that, but it does get pretty hot when it's actually trying to charge those larger batteries. So about 2-hour charge time is what we're running. In here also, we have the RTK ground station. So the RTK, and as soon as I get to the lower layer, I'll show you the antennas. But the ground station has its own internal battery. And so you'll charge that with a USB-C power on the front. We have a power indicator LED, RTK, meaning that we're connected to GPS satellites, Wi-Fi connection basically to the remote. So this will increase our range to 30 kilometers or 18 miles. While using the RTK ground station. So a huge amount of space that this thing can fly if needed. So by having the RTK ground station connected, definitely increases that range versus not using it. And again, it's got its own internal battery. I will have to defer to Victor on exactly what the runtime is, but I think we've been pushing this for at least 4 to 5 hours just running on its own. I might even be longer. I apologize for not knowing that specification, but yes, that RTK ground station, antennas in the back. This is going to mount. Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Victor.
Battery life can last about 7 hours.
7 hours. So I've definitely run it continuous for 4 to 5 hours, so I haven't had it actually run low on me at all. So excellent. And you can stay on just for a little bit longer, just in case I have any other technical questions. So, excellent.
I don't even get this.
Yeah, that'll be perfect as soon as we get done with what's in the box. Okay, on this top layer is the aircraft itself. We have some propeller lockers on here that we can remove, but when we travel with it, or we're moving around in the box or container, we definitely don't want those props moving around. And also, when you close the lid, you can see the cutouts are made for the propellers. So these keep these locks, keeping the locks locked in, really important. 3 landing gear on the bottom here. 3 landing gear on the bottom, no wheels because it is an RTK, or I'm sorry, an RTK, a VTOL. It is a VTOL. And on the bottom, it has a couple of sonar sensors to see the ground when it comes in for landing. RTK antennas on the top and the power button. And then I'm going to go ahead and move this top layer of foam out of the way, and we can see what else is in here. The main fuselage sitting like it is, trying to get everything out of there with it, not inside is not recommended. So you want to be able to remove everything out of the way of the top layer before pulling that top layer out. But the tail section, which connects to the fuselage, let's see if I can get a little bit closer shot of that on the connection. I again apologize about this lighting. I think I'm just going to turn this light off and just see what it looks like. It's a little better. So let's look at that connection right there. On the fuselage, there's a quick release on here. So when we actually snap this into the tail, there's 2 quick release buttons to pull that off. There is a servo built into the tail as well. So we just want to be careful not pushing that hard or giving it a lot of stress there when we're handling it. Once it's snapped in, very unique way to get that to pop in. All fiberglass made and carbon fiber made. Okay. Let's just talk about the wing itself real quick. So the wing is inside. Apologize about the helicopter flying around if you can hear that. So the wing connections, which are actually, again, a very clean connection here electronically up on the top. We have a very small wing spar that comes down into the wing, but it's, you know, I'm an RC guy, so I fly RC, and usually the wing spars come all the way down for the wing loads, like doing flips and rolls and all kinds of stuff. But the engineering here has got a lot of strength built into the wing. So, and as additionally, you're not going to be doing anything too crazy as far as aerobatics with this one. On here, there's a little latch and connector that will grab onto that and snap that shut to keep it closed. And up on the front here is a pitot tube. And the pitot tube, you need to be a little careful with the pitot tube to not damage that or knock it off the wing, break it or anything like that. But we use this little cover to do some calibrations, and it definitely uses wind speed to calculate its flight path, and as well will output a ground speed while flying. The motor and speed controller on the wings, embedded speed controller here, motor out here on the front, and then a locking mechanism for the propeller. So you don't have to screw these on. These are a press fit turn spring loaded. These also turn up or down. So we want to be careful again, kind of rotating these so that we don't strip the servo out or anything like that inside. But that is the basically the wing design. Beautiful thing, beautiful. All right, last thing I want to talk about in the box is the RTK antennas. So the RTK antennas are here. They're going to fit onto a very large tripod. They look like little lightsabers, but they're going to fit onto a tripod. There's a bracket for these to fit on. They have cables that connect on the bottom here, then go out to the ground station. And then before I sit down here, I'm going to grab the payload. And we'll show a couple of videos after Victor kind of walks us through a little bit of the map planning and kind of messing around with the actual application. So once again, I've got the triple sensor here. So the triple sensor is going to have the optical zoom camera, the wide camera, and a thermal camera. These specifications are quite amazing. Again, I'll show some video here in just a minute after Victor walks us around. We have a very simple connection up here on the top. So it's just a place it up inside and turn it, and it locks it in. Very, very neat design and very clean as far as this goes. So I'll go ahead and have Victor kind of talk a little bit about the Voyager app. That is the native app that the Dragonfish uses, and just kind of walk us through that. If you want to go ahead, Victor.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. You see the main screen of the Voyager app. So we have the physical button. You can switch between auto mode and the manual modes. If we are in the auto mode, so like this one, the first one, the flight interface is for auto flight. You will see we have 3 different types of mission: waypoint, polygon, and rectangular. So, and this is the mission history that shows all the mission that we created before and we flew before. So let's take a waypoint mission as an example. When I click here, you will see the map. You can change the map view to like satellite view or the standard view. I changed the standard view for you guys. It's easier to see. So I just very easy, just tap one point you want the Dragonfish to fly over, and you just keep tapping to add more waypoints, and the flight path will generate itself. And you can see here there are 2 circles. One is up, one is down. There are like circle up and circle down points. Is for the Dragonfish transit from the VTOL mode, the quad mode, to fixed wing. And you can also see when you finish the mission, you just tap save. Then it will tells you how many waypoints you have and what's the altitude you set. And you
you can also even turn on the terrain following if you have downloaded the terrain, the altitude info data. So after that, just close the menu. Then you click the button on the left, the aircraft button, so you can start the mission. And the top, on the lower left corner, you can see the camera view, but I don't have the camera connected right now, so you can't see anything. But when I tap, it will switch between the map and the camera. Now you will see zoom and wide because I used the dual sensor before. So if you're using the triple sensor, you will see a thermal here. So this is the waypoint. Then the polygon is quite similar. So you just tap here. Then you can drag and to match to cover the area you want, and it will automatically generate the fly path. You see all the curves here because the Dragonfish in the mission is like a fixed wing mode, so it needs to take turns. It take like the circle to take turns. So this is the polygon mission, and same as the rectangle mission, but this is easier. You just only change the length and width for the rectangle. And the second one, if you change to manual mode, you will go to the menu. If you are not, so it would remind you, okay, you need to switch to the menu. So now I'm switched to menu. So you can see the menu. That means you can fly as a quad, just like EVO, like quad mode. So you can tow in the sticks to start the motor and take off. And when it's reached a certain speed, it will automatically change to the fixed wing mode. And when you reduce the speed, it will change back to quad mode automatically. And anytime you're in your in the auto flight, you can just switch to manual mode. Just in let's say if you encounter any emergency, you just switch to manual mode. You can control the aircraft yourself. The third one is the project list, is all the histories, the mission that we create. You can see the missions here. And the fourth one is all the photos and videos we took before, and on the SD card or on the internal flash storage or anything you download to the ground station. The fifth one is the novice tutorial. You can get the basic, the tutorial videos right here. We will keep uploading the new videos here. The last one is the settings. This setting is for the ground station, for the RC here. And by clicking the top right corner, the aircraft icon, you will go to the aircraft settings. Then you can turn on the RTK, which tells you whether you connect the base station, what's your remote control settings, SB meters, gimbal settings. All these settings are here. I think that's all for the Voyage app. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Mm-hmm. So, you can hear me, Victor? Good to go?
Yes. I hear you.
Okay. I do have a question. If you want to go back to the mission planning and you can just pull up any mission. I want to kind of explain a little bit of the icons that are on your waypoint mission.
Okay.
So I know I had to kind of zoom in on this last time. So yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. So
maybe I try to remove some. That's too many points here. So maybe I delete some.
Yeah, go ahead and delete some.
Yep. Okay. I only keep like three.
Perfect.
Here.
Excellent. So we can see the home point that Victor has set up right there in the middle of the screen, the little home point. And there's a little spot in there, on the left side of the screen is the ascent circle. So it's got to ascend to a number that he has set. And up on the top right, where the home point is, what is the flight height that you have that set right there, Victor?
Okay, you can get here.
One.
The road takeoff, as I said, at 864 feet right now.
Yo, 164.
Yes.
Yeah, so 106. So it'll start from a home point, climb to 164 feet,
Yes.
then go and fly to the circle, then ascend by and the reason for this is to save power. So what is the ultimate flight height of all your waypoints? What are you hitting there?
328.
328. So we definitely want to, instead of climbing all the way to 328 feet, we're utilizing that fixed wing change to get up to altitude. And usually we're flying, no higher than 400, but this, we're talking 250 feet if you've got to go from 150 to at least get to a point and then increase up to 400. So doing this circle path definitely helps with the power and the time. Same thing on the right side of the screen, you can see where it's going to come back down.
Mhm.
So as it comes back down, it's going to come back down to the height of 168, I think, is that what you said? And then come in and actually land.
Here, like a 168 here, yes.
Yeah. So I know that you can also move those around just in case, because another one to remember is that as it ascends to a spot, we have to then start flying in a direction to start that circle path. So right there, if we have the satellite imagery up, we can see that if there's any buildings or any interference with that.
Try to avoid the buildings here, yes.
Yeah. So we can move the flight path around to make sure we're avoiding any buildings or anything like that. You can also include or increase that number, as we had mentioned, to get up to maybe 200 or 300 to just get out of the way of anything before it transitions. I was hitting flight speeds of around 45 to 50 miles an hour while flying around recently in Miami. And so, and we'd also get a much faster ground speed, almost 60 or 70, with traveling with the wind. So we don't want to have anything in the way when we're moving that fast. Wouldn't you agree, Victor?
Yes, totally.
Make sure nothing is in the way. Okay, any questions? I know Max is trying to hit all the questions and get as much as he can in the presentation here. Thank you, Maxwell, for doing that. I'm just going to go ahead and show a couple of videos. Hopefully the feed comes through okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen here. Hopefully everybody can see this. So let's go ahead and play this video. What we're seeing here is using the RGB zoom camera on this boat. Initially, I went ahead and clicked on the wide view, and then I changed over to the zoom view to focus a bit more on the part of the barge right there. I went in and clicked on the barge to be able to see a little bit more detail. Now, on this video, I don't know, maybe half a mile away from this as we're flying by. So the zoom capability of this is really good. The image quality looks great. We can see a lot of detail here. If there was a subject that we were trying to watch or observe, definitely would look great as far as that goes. So let's just continue watching that for just a minute. And this just comes back to that engineering, and then I'll end this on this last shot, shooting all the way across, and you can see it's quite an amazing camera as well. Just kind of getting this shot here as we fly to come back to where I was taking off from, which happens to be all the way down by this building. I was around, approximately 2 miles out while flying in this TFR. So, and this is where we were located, was way over here. So that zooming feature and capable zooming on this is absolutely amazing. I'll go ahead and share a thermal as well here in just a second. So let me get that pulled up. Okay, again, any other questions on these? I'll try to get, again, I know Victor's doing a great job staying on top of the questions. Oh, Adrian, that's a great question. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about that real quick. So it is a fairly large platform. So Adrian asked basically for coastal stuff. Can we deploy from a moving ship, and can we move from, deploy from a moving obstacle? Well, because the Dragonfish has the quad mode, or what I would refer to drone mode, so it flies around like a drone, you most certainly can land onto a moving object if needed, being that it is a VTOL. We do have to remember a couple of things, though, is that trying to keep it still a little bit does help. Anybody that's actually moving a boat at 20 miles an hour and trying to get a drone to it can be a little challenging. So as long as it's, basically in a position, we could easily land that on something moving very slow and get that back down. So it shouldn't be too difficult in manually flying. I don't know about trying to catch this one out of the air. I've seen a lot of the coastal guys. So we've got NOAA here in the United States, the National Oceanographic Institute, basically that does a lot of investigation on whale travel, seal counts, all kinds of things. And they launch and take off from boats all the time. And some of their drones are very large, and it's kind of hard to get it, into a spot. But, love to be able to basically see that. Absolutely. So let's see. I pull up a thermal portion of that video, and this is just mainly trying to take a look at the thermal capability of the sensor itself. So we're going to look at the same subject. We're going to watch that boat. So let me just get this pulled up real quick, and then share my screen. Hopefully everybody can see this. So go ahead and play that. Okay, I belong to a thermal camera graph. I actually started a thermal camera group discussion on Facebook that actually has around 4,000 people that have been using thermal cameras for a very long time. You can see, normally we're not going to be able to see the output of basically heat coming off of here. It's not actually output of any type of gas, but the sensitivity of this particular sensor is very good, so being able to see that is awesome. That uniformity of water makes the boat stand out quite a bit, or the barge. You can see that, looking at both motors. I didn't even zoom in all the way on this, and I probably could have gone a little bit more on the digital zoom of the thermal camera. So a very good camera outputs that this is able to do. Okay, so other than that, I mean, we've got about 5 minutes left in the webinar here. If you guys, please, I mean, absolutely. If anybody wanted to come on stage to ask a question, I'm happy to invite you to do so. If anybody wanted to talk on stage or anything, you can. Otherwise, we have a lot of anybody else that has questions going on in the chat. We'll try to keep going those for the next few minutes. Again, you'll have to forgive me for running this Demio. web-based program because it's fairly new to me utilizing this program. So we'll try to do a little bit better. Oh, wow. I'm going to guess that that is a video for deploying from a boat. That's fantastic. All right. Some of the other things about the RTK and the smart remote. One more, just an overview again of the smart remote compatibility with the RTK and any of the other types of ships that are EVO2 out there. Very easy to go ahead and connect between multiple ships just by going into the settings here and going to the remote control settings and telling the smart controller to go ahead and connect to a ship. So on the ship side, you're just turning it on and pressing the linking button, then linking between the different aircraft that you may have. I happen to have 3 different EVO RTK or EVO ships. So I have the RTK, which we already took. We took the antenna off. I have a 640T here in the back that I also use. And then even though I find this to be a very specialized feature of Autel is being able, on these smaller ships, is being able to switch out these other payloads. So this is the 640R, and being able to swap these payloads around is very important. It might save a little bit of money, as far as multiple payloads in one ship, but I don't recommend, like, every time we go out and fly that we change payloads all the time. This connection can get worn down quite a bit over time. So definitely pick and choose when you want to change out those payloads, and by just being a little cautious with that little connector by doing that often could probably get it worn down over time. But that is just something to be aware of when changing the payloads in and out. And I think unless we have any other last minute questions, again, I'll go ahead and have Victor and Max jump back up on the stage here, or at least one of you. Oh, you both were talking from the same screen.
Well, John, we are back.
Okay, excellent. So one more time, we wanted to do a lot more of these webinars moving forward, specifically for a lot of the demonstration of new equipment. We want to show a training perspective as well, actual training, and not just highlighting. I think I'll try to arrange here in the next couple of weeks, trying to do some RTK data gathering. I'll bring Victor on and Max back on to kind of walk us through and help us on the next training video that we might do in the next series. And that's again, what to do with the data after you've collected it, what files are there, and we're hoping to have a couple of basically some surveying companies that might help out with that, as well, give us some input on some of the RTK information that we're gathering and how well it's working with everybody out there. So Max, did you have anything else you wanted to add before closing up today's webinar?
Thank you, John. Just let us know if you have any questions or how you want us to improve the products or to improve this webinar. We're always looking to make everything better for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. Victor, did you have anything? Thank you again for showing us the ways.
Yeah, you're welcome. I don't think I have anything else. Yeah. So thank you for everyone joining us.
Excellent. Well, again, I'm John McBride, Director of Training. Again, we had Max here and Victor that were helpful in kind of pushing us through this webinar today. So thanks everyone for joining. Once again, just look out for other future webinars that we'll be doing and giving you guys the best information we can from Autel Robotics. Thanks again, gentlemen, for joining me today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.